We are officially 6 days away, folks, from, in my opinion, a highly anticipated rematch between Sean O'Malley and Merab Dvalishvili. Now, obviously, Sean O'Malley doesn't necessarily deserve this shot. However, I still think it's a massively compelling matchup in the division. I feel like Sean has the best chance of beating Merab. I think it would be the most hyped fight within the top five. We don't want to see him fight Peter again. We don't want to see him fight Jan. We don't want to see him fight. So I said Peter and Jan twice. That's a bit silly. We don't want to see him fight. Blah, blah, blah. We don't want to see him fight Umar. I just feel like Sean brings a certain level of fun and playfulness to his fights, and I'm happy this fight was made. I've seen so much stuff online about how Merab is going to go out there, ragdoll him again, 5-0 again. Now, it wasn't 5-0 the first time. It was a very close fight the first time if you actually rewatch it. I know a lot of people don't rewatch it. A lot of people find out what happened the next morning and run with this silly arsehole narrative that Sean got ragdolled. And in some rounds he did. He got ragdolled in rounds 2 and 4 very dominantly. I mean, he very decidingly he lost those rounds, which I think is why people think it was more of the fight, just because it was literally 4 or 5 minutes each round of him just on bottom, not taking much damage, not being able to escape, and he looked frail. He looked quite weak. His body didn't look like he'd been grappling for 12 weeks and being in those positions. It just looked almost like he was off. There's a guy I've been speaking to. His name's Robert Bell. Now, obviously, I've become quite close with him. We've had a lot of in detail conversations about not just MMA but about life, and I've really come to value an opinion. He was there. He was at the Sphere, and he said, "Look, even O'Malley's demeanor when he was stood in the cage before the fight, it was almost like, God, this guy's gonna lose." Like, I don't know, and obviously it was the same Sean we've always seen, but it was a weird vibe about it last time. Very weird venue, very weird event. Sean O'Malley said in the countdown today, it was almost as if he was like supposed to lose that fight, or he just kind of had a weird feeling in the back of his mind, like, yeah, this isn't gonna be good, and it's a very honest thing for him to say, and. Obviously, he tore his labrum. I did some research into that injury. It's not like an injury that stops you from your mobility. It's just painful. You can't do much on it. You can't overexert yourself, which is essentially what you need to do to have a good training camp for Merab. And you can see this time round, Sean O'Malley looks much bigger. He looks a bit thicker, he looks more thick set. He actually looks like he's been grappling for weeks and weeks and weeks. His body's kind of changing into that sort of more of like a stocky sort of grappler sort of frame, and obviously not even anywhere near Merab's, the completely different body. But what I'm saying is you can tell there's a thickness about him now where it's like, oh, you may not be heavier, but you're a wee bit stronger. You're a wee bit just more dense in your frame, and I think that's really going to benefit him. Obviously, I'm going to give you my breakdown, who I think is going to win the fight, how I think they're going to win, and you guys can give me your opinion in the comments down below. In my personal opinion, I've got Sean O'Malley winning this fight by knockout in the second round, the same way he did Aljo. Not the same sequence, however, the same sort of time frame in the fight. Look, I'm going to get hate for this. I think Merab has such an advantage over every single person he fights. And you can say it's the cardio, it's the fear of the unknown, in my opinion. I think if you're going in there with Merab, oh God, this guy's pressure is good. Oh, this guy's stronger than I thought. Oh, he's better in this position than I thought. And he's just such a weird stylistic matchup to fight, and you just don't know what you're going to get. Now that O'Malley has felt his pressure and maybe realizes, oh, I hurt him in the fifth. I wasn't as tired as I thought. Now he's in a better camp. He knows he can hang with him. And if anything, he's been saying he'll push pace on Merab, Tim Welch said he had his heart in the red zone for 25 minutes, which is just incredible. Like, that's an immensely challenging thing to do. I just feel like Merab's biggest thing is you don't know how he's going to be. He's much better than you think he is. He may not look good, but somehow he's winning rounds and he's just bouncing around the place, managing to find angles. And I don't even think Merab knows what he's doing, which makes him very difficult to plan for, because it's like Merab doesn't have flow to him. He doesn't have sequence. He doesn't enter a flow state of where, oh, slip, bap, bap, woo, woo, woo. It's just very like, da, 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 right, what should I do? And, it's almost like erratic in the sense of, I'm retarded. It's not a, Dricus du Plessis said it as well. People break down his fights. Oh, Dricus switches stances here, and Dricus was like, "Mate, I don't even think about that stuff. I just go out there and fight." Like, it's just there's different types of fighters, and I think O'Malley's biggest thing going into this fight is he's now felt Merab, and the reason he's like, "Yeah, give me this rematch," is one because he's a competitive, but active champion, and secondly because he knows he can get this guy now. He's had the correct preparation. We've not seen him in a long time. His last memory would have been in the cage with Merab. He had 25 minutes with him. So it's almost like round 6 in a sense, and I think O'Malley gets it done. I think O'Malley's going to walk forward more this time. I don't think he's going to wait for Merab. I think he's going to meet Merab in the middle. I hope anyway. And I can see him being more active off his back, pummeling better. And I think he's expecting a war. He's expecting a 25-minute thing of where he's the one that has to steal rounds and do damage. And wouldn't it be mad if O'Malley just like fucking dunks him on his back and like ground and pounds him? Like Sean is one of these guys that he's gonna play to his strengths, but if he is in guard, I want to see him elbowing Merab's head. I want to see elbows and punches. Try open up a cut. Open up a fucking cut. Batter the guy from the bottom. I always bring up this example when I was speaking to people about this, Round 4, Islam Makhachev versus Alexander Volkanovski, the first fight. Islam had his back for about 3.5, 4 minutes, and Volk was just punching him in the head, screaming because he couldn't get the choke on him. He was in a body triangle, just whacking him. Just whacking him. And then a lot of fans kind of left that fight being like, well, it all comes down to, like, how the fuck you score this. Like... And then you sit back and you think, fuck, imagine he cut Islam open from the back, and then he would have won the round. I kind of see this sort of thing. I've been weirdly envisioning a doctor stoppage in between rounds and people being somewhat satisfied, but Merab wasn't really getting the better of Sean, so O'Malley's the champ and they can do a trilogy maybe after Sean defends it one more time, or kind of what I see is O'Malley brutally finishing him with a knee followed by a left hook, and then Merab's like out against the cage, and then O'Malley just walks off kind of like, look what the fuck I can do when I'm healthy. And then people say, oh, we kind of don't really need a Merab trilogy now, and then Merab going crazy because it's like, what, I give him immediate rematch, but he doesn't want to fight me again. It's this sort of dynamic. I can see O'Malley meeting him in the middle, walking forward a wee bit more, just putting a wee bit more pressure on him this time and finding a shot, finding a finish, finding a sequence. And one thing that does worry me is Merab is so difficult to track down when you're waiting for him because he will just bounce and stuff. Then before you know it, he's attacking you with 2 minutes left and then you can't get anything off, And I just think mentally going into both of these fights, Merab's probably thinking, fuck, this guy now has 25 more minutes to find a shot. To find a right hand, a left kick, a high kick, a knee. This guy's dangerous and he's now got 25 minutes more to get it done and he's felt my pressure. This could be a challenge. Whereas I think O'Malley's thinking, I felt this guy's pressure. I get 25 minutes more to find his chin. This is my opportunity. I've had a better camp. My hip's good now. I can pummel better. I can get whizzers better. I can switch better. I've got O'Malley. I just think everything's in his favour this time. And I said this before he fought Aljo. Sometimes people come along and they're just champions. They just know how to win fights. He's just good at fighting. And I feel like Merab's older. He's being more active. And I think that suits Merab being in there often. It delegates nerves a wee bit. You're just familiar with fighting and making money. Doing exactly what Merab deserves to do as a champ. He's making money. He's having good performances. I think O'Malley beats Merab, fights Piotr Yan again, and then if Merab gets 1 or 2 more, he gets a trilogy. I think O'Malley fights September and December. I think O'Malley's so fucking locked in, and you can joke all you want about him cutting out weed and cutting out the old woohoo, but he's so locked in. I don't, people have said to me, oh, but Merab's motivation. I don't think there's anything to worry about Merab's motivation. I think Merab's a champion. He will get out of bed regardless because he needs to win fights. He went through like fucking 13, 14 people just to get a title shot. I'm sure he didn't want to have to do all those fights, but he just said, fuck it, I'm not getting a title shot. Let me fight somebody else. And this is a legacy thing now. And I know, John Wood is fucking massively aware of how Merab needs to perform now that O'Malley's had those reads, and they're saying they're gonna finish O'Malley, but I know if Merab gets comfortable in there and starts taking down Sean with ease again, it could be a very difficult night as an O'Malley fan. I'm not biased though. I think Merab's fucking great. I wouldn't be surprised if Merab went out and won. Merab can go out there and win. I just think we did not see the Sean O'Malley that we needed to last time, and he almost beat Merab, but he almost lost worse. It's a weird dynamic, but to be honest, folks, I think O'Malley goes out there and finishes him. I can see a knee followed by he misses a knee, but follows with a check right hook or something, and then I don't know, or a decision. I can't. This is one of those ones. I'm gonna say O'Malley by finish. I'm gonna say doctor stoppage. I think the fight's gonna get called off in between rounds. I think Merab's gonna have a bad first round. O'Malley might catch him and there's a big moment. The second round starts sort of calm while Merab recovers. Minute 3 or 4 in the second round, O'Malley catches him again, batters him. You know, maybe his eyes swollen. He's got a cut. Potentially in between the second and third round, they're like, no, this can't keep going because he's fucked. I can see that. I can see like a complete shot out from O'Malley. And then he can be like, well, I told you, I had an injury, and then he's a superstar again. If O'Malley's completely healthy, look what, the new thing, like new cheat code unlocked, Aura O'Malley, or Healthy O'Malley, like some crap like this. I'm going to go Sean O'Malley, folks, and I'm not even being biased saying that. I just think he's better. His frame's a bit thicker now, and I think he'll be able to do stuff off the bottom to where if it goes to the judges, he might have done enough each round. I also don't think he's going to wait for Merab. I think go out there, push the fucking pace, walk towards this cunt and batter him. If you walk towards Merab and be patient and just fucking beat the fuck out, just follow him. Just fucking follow the cunt. Just follow him around, beat the fuck out of him. Sean O'Malley will be the world champion again within the next 10 days. Fights from 6 days from today. Obviously, I'll be doing a live stream, breaking down, watching the main card. So if you guys want to tune in and watch that, I would massively appreciate seeing you there. Thanks for watching, folks. I will catch you all on Saturday Night Live and for the videos during the week. Massively appreciate it. Subscribe.